Tony, would you like to call roll and then we'll start in on item 2.6?
Sure. Jimenez,
Present.
Perales.
Here.
Yep. Carrasco,
Here.
Davis,
Here.
Esparza,
Here.
Arenas, Foley, Camus,
Here.
Jones,
Present.
Liccardo.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Tony. Item 3.6 are actions related to declarations suspending enforcement of certain provisions and land use permits and approvals, also known as Viva al Fresco. Blage, thank you for joining us. It doesn't say you have a presentation. Would you like to present something?
No, Mayor, there's no formal presentation. We are just here to ask for your confirmation and ratification of the expansion of the city's alfresco initiative, focusing primarily on city-owned parking lots, parks, and plazas. And so,
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. And there's no one from the public who's raised their hand. Blage, I just had a quick, actually, let me just go to council here for questions first. Councilmember Esparza?
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. So one is, given that the council offices have close relationships with the communities that we serve, I just wanted to ask to see if staff going to be working with us to see which parks are designated.
So council member, the way that this program is set up right now is that businesses are able to put in a request online for the park that they would like to utilize for their business operations. So there is a proximity that is incorporated into the emergency ordinance outside of the downtown core. The business needs to be within a 3-mile radius of an eligible park. So that's the way we have it set up, because we figured that nobody knows kind of the park that a business would potentially want to put their operations in better than that business owner. But certainly we're more than happy to work with the council office if you have to help pair up kind of the correct businesses with the correct parks. So,
Okay.
Yeah, not a problem at all.
Okay, and then how will we be notifying the neighborhoods that a portion of their park will be closing and commercial activity will be taking place in there?
So there's also a limit to the amount of the park that is going to be utilized for business operations, commercial operations.
Right.
And so the majority of the park actually will remain open for public operations. And we're also, as part of the regulations, we're saying that these business operations are not going to occur within 50 feet of residential to kind of give some protection to folks. So part of what the application process is a suggestion to the business that's going to be operating in the park to notify kind of the surrounding neighborhoods. But I think
So it's up to the business to notify the neighborhoods?
Yes, it is at this point. We can work with the council offices if that's something that council offices are interested in. We can work with you to let you know which parks in your districts are being requested for activation or are approved for activation to enhance that outreach. That's certainly possible.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. And by the way, so one, I think we can certainly hear from people who are like, what? I didn't know that the city was going to do that. But then we'll also hear from people saying, cool, there's my neighborhood business. It's going to come over here and I can just come here, right? So, I mean, we'll get both sides of it. And I think, one, we should be notifying people that may have concerns about losing a portion of their park. But I think we will equally be notifying people that they can come to their neighborhood park and activate, a portion of their park and support of, their local commerce, right? And so I think it can also be a positive thing. And that's it, short and sweet. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilmember Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. Blogate, I want to thank you and Ed Solis and Nancy Klein. And I know the city attorney's office was involved when a business owner came to me and said, hey, would love to use a parking lot. What do you know about that? And I came to you guys and said, I think that's a city lot, isn't it? And this is kind of the result of part. I know the parks thing was already in the works, and I know the parking lot item was lower on the list. And so I really appreciate you guys working and Dave pushing that along to make that happen, because I know other offices are doing this. We're reaching out to businesses, and we're also hearing from businesses that we haven't reached out to yet. And our entrepreneurs in San Jose are very they're innovative, and they're trying desperately to figure out ways to save their businesses and to continue operations in this turbulent environment. And so I really appreciate all that you guys are doing to make sure that they have opportunities outdoors for as long as we have our beautiful summer and even our fall weather. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Blogate, thanks for moving this forward. I have a question that I hope is not taken in the wrong way, because I know there's nobody better than you to drive an initiative like this one, particularly given all the experience you've had, the Downtown Association. But it seems as though that other cities are getting more traction in getting businesses outside on the sidewalks, in the streets. And I see that visually in some other suburban towns of ours. I read that New York has 6,000 restaurants outside now. What do you think are the impediments? Why are we not getting more traction in San Jose?
I think, Mayor, that's a really good question. I think one of the things is that we have been really focused on getting this policy work kind of done and out. I mean, we've been here on a regular cadence over the last, 2.5 months, very frequently. And so it's taken a large lift to get the policy work. I think admittedly we have gotten the words out, but we can probably do more, and we certainly can partner up even closer with the council offices, as Councilmember Davis and Councilmember Esparza both mentioned, doing outreach on their own. So one of the things we are working on right now is another host of communications tools that we're going to be pushing out later on later on this week to the council offices. We are revamping the Alfresco website. We now have the PRNS placemaking team that physically has, bodies that are kind of out and about in the community. So I think that, now that we're winding down the policy work, we'll be able to focus even more on the communications tools, tactics, strategies to ensure that folks are both participating. And then also, I do think that we have a significant number of businesses that are participating, but they're not actually registered. And I also think kind of the large landmass that is San Jose, we don't have kind of one or two main streets. We have a variety of different neighborhoods in a large expanse of land. I think that also then doesn't give you kind of the concentration effect in many places.
Okay. Yeah, and I appreciate, we do have, a largely suburban topography, which makes us more challenging than a more dense urban area. And so I appreciate that. It would just be helpful to know if there are obstacles that the council can get out of the way, or you need us to roll up our sleeves more on the communication end, or it would just be helpful to know what could really move the needle. I've heard some suggestions anecdotally, and I don't know, I'm not deep enough in the weeds to understand what's really possible or what's not. Some folks would like to get out in the street, but there's no public procurement right now for barriers to be able to close lanes, and that's become an obstacle. And apparently in other cities, the
they allow the business themselves simply to construct something that meets some basic standard. And so I'm just wondering, is there, particularly with street closures, are there unique obstacles that we have?
So, Mayor, not that I'm aware of, and I invite kind of any of the council members, and obviously you were in close coordination with your staff. If there are some barriers that are coming up that you are hearing about, please let us
Okay.
know. I mean, part of the reason why we structured both the parklet and the street closure kind of permits the way they are in the city providing the barrier is because that could then reduce the review time. It kind of takes all the guesswork out. Like, these barriers are approved per DOT, per PD, kind of per everybody, and the city will go ahead and install them, and then you can set out your business operations. But if there are other barriers that you're hearing about, please let us know. We are trying to cluster businesses, especially for a street closure. One of the requirements or kind of, very, very strong criteria is that there be the majority of the businesses on the street want the closure, and that the majority of the businesses on the street be, ground floor uses. Because one of the things is, if we just kind of randomly start closing streets, because one or two businesses want them, do we really, do we benefit? What about the majority of the folks that maybe didn't want them? Right. So we are trying to be mindful of everybody, because, many people do want to bring their business operations outdoors. And then other people, because of the county regulations and because of all of the hoops that they do have to go through to abide by those regulations, it becomes difficult or potentially cost prohibitive. But we're open to any obstacles that you all are hearing, and we'll address them, or we'll ask for help in addressing them.
I'm sorry, I'm having it.
With my device, my apologies. So I hope, Blogger, forgive me, I missed the last end of what you just explained, but I think I got the gist of it. Could I just ask, with regard to, and I'm not a huge advocate that we should be going out there closing streets, willy-nilly, but, closing lanes, on the other hand, may be something that's much more easy to implement and still allows folks to have visibility with traffic. And I'm just wondering, in terms of the resources to be able to deploy the concrete barriers and DOT staff and so forth, is that realistic? If three businesses say, look, we'd like to close this lane, can that happen with the resources we have? Or
so Mayor, yes, it certainly can, and we are using some of our resources, and then thankfully we have a budget allocation where we're able to procure equipment from outside sources. So that hasn't been a problem, and our DOT staff has been really great about focusing the needs as they've come in. One of the things that we are trying to do is ensure that when we close lanes or close streets, we are maximizing the benefit. And so I don't know the specific kind of instance that you're thinking about, but if there is,
it was a hypothetical, that's why you didn't know it.
Okay. Okay, good. Because I feel like I think I have a pretty good grasp on the requests that we have out there for either street closures, like substantial street closures, and or parklets, and we're trying to work through each one of these. And part of the really great thing is that we have done so much work with Alfresco that there are a lot of options. There's sidewalks, there's streets, there's parking spaces. And so it's definitely not a one size fits all. And so we're trying to figure out what's going to work best for the business.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you. All right. Then if there are no other questions, let's vote.
We have members of the public who
Yeah.
have put their hands are down.
I'd asked initially and there were no hands up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sharing screen now. Jimenez,
Yes.
Peralez,
Aye.
yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. Okay, item 3.7 is temporary modification to Arts Commission and extension of terms of termed out commissioners.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Jimenez, second from Councilmember Davis. We'll go to members of the public. Tessa Woodmansee.
Okay, I did want to speak on that parklet issue, and you didn't provide time for the public, as far as I knew. I mean, I came on the thing at like 6:03. You're already, the staff, the council was talking. Did you have public comment? I don't think so. So you got to really remember that. Like, you have to remember about climate change being, fossil fuel use has to be the criteria for all of our decisions. And actually, I am commenting on that fresco thing because I find it disgusting that you guys are all about business. And let's see what this thing is about. What is it? The temporary, it's the arts. Oh, well, that's another whole problem. So I'll spend 30 seconds on this. But, to spend all of our time and resources on businesses, that is not the job of government. The job of government is protect us from harm. And you are not doing that. You are not doing that. You're protecting businesses. You're using money, all of our money and resources, and giving like $2.5 million to businesses and all the energy, bringing blockades in and bringing this in, everything for business. That is not the job of government. It's protect us from harm. And you're doing a terrible job of that. You're supposed to, do you think I can get a safe street in my neighborhood? And then on top of it, when we're eating outside, people in wheelchairs and people who are walking are having to be exposed to the COVID-19 because businesses are making money. And that's what you're all about. So now getting back, so that has to stop. It has to be about the people and taking care of the people and preparing us for climate emergency. And yes, it is 1700s because that's the era of without fossil fuels. That's what we need to go back to. Yes, it's the science, okay? And people can deny it. So getting to the arts, I'm disgusted with what happened on my wall in my neighborhood where I get an advertisement for the Sharks because of Deb Davis and the issues of our building, that we have no controls. We have no control. So I get an advertisement, a 7-story advertisement for the Sharks, which is violent and gross, and there's no evaluation of that. And that is disgusting. And we need to improve that.
Thank you. And I'll note for the record, I did solicit public comment before we went back to council for discussion on the last item. Roma Dawson? Welcome, Roma. Your device appears to be muted. Roma, your device is still on mute. If you could unmute your device. Okay, we can try to come back to you in a moment. It appears that there may be a problem with the device. We'll go to Ramona Snyder and then we'll try to come back to you, Roma.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I wanted to thank Councilmember Camus and Davis for bringing this memo to the Council today. The memo clearly outlines the timeline of events, so I will not reiterate what happened, but I hope those tuning in today will take the time to read the memo. I'd like to point out that there are 7 emails from other commissioners from various commissions in support of this extension. I hope the council will vote to approve this temporary extension. I look forward to having the opportunity to serve alongside the newly appointed arts commissioners through the end of this year. I thank you for your time and I thank you for your service to our city. That is all.
Thank you. The person with the phone number ending 5140.
Yeah, I'm happy about what you guys are doing with the Cafe Al Fresco. Since I think I'm not one to agree with Tess, but yeah, we weren't given time for that. I just want to tell you that that's about the only decent thing you guys have done in a long time, is actually let people eat and drink on the street, and with guidelines and rules is great. For years and years, you guys have fought it over weird alcohol laws, puritanical, weird, I don't know what, but it's great that you guys are doing that, and keep up the good work. We need to be able to support what's left of the downtown. I mean, it's terrible the way it looks, and there needs to be business. There needs to be money. You need to be able to generate tax revenue to pay for all these things that you need to buy everybody, like wipes and diapers and everything else. Where do you think this money comes from? It comes from tax dollars. You know, we're not generating any taxes if we don't help, or if you guys aren't able to stimulate business in downtown. I just want to, you know, I don't have many good things to say about the city council or anybody else who works down there, but this is something that's a step in the right direction, which is not something I'm going to usually tell you guys. Once again, Deb Davis, fix the gate at the Rose Garden. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Beekman, Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you. For this issue, this was first brought up maybe in May, maybe in June in Rules and Open Government. And, you know, a speaker at the time, you know, I understand what you guys are doing, but she was thinking, why not have the voting process now in June to kind of, you know, drum up community spirit, you know, and just so we can have a public process going on. And I don't know, just to list choices at this time, and you know me trying to work out what can be one-on-one individual local democracy practices, and how that individual dialogue can really shape a community. And you know, that's a major point for myself. And I know that you know, the commission process itself can be a real good tool at this time for ourselves. And you know, you're going to be doing things with the Strong Mayor Initiative that are community based, and thank you. And you know, it's effort and it's work, and it's nice to see how that can take place. It's new to me how that can take place and all the different facets of what is community life. And using corporations, Vietnamese corporations, media corporations of the area, you know, as places for you know, government ideas to be heard is an interesting concept. I mean, that is what our founding fathers wanted to use newspapers and media for. Now we do have a system of conglomerates, of corporate conglomerates, but it is an interesting use, and you know, it'll be nice to see how those combinations work together in the coming months and years. Thank you.
Thank you. Roman Dawson. Roma, your device appears still to be muted. There it is.
Thank you, Mayor. I hope I'm there finally, and apologies for all of that. First, let me thank Councilmember Esparza for those the very moving words to start off this council meeting, and that beautiful, beautiful invocation. I'm very excited that Council members Camus and Davis took the time to allow what's an innovation. You're going to have experienced commissioners having a few months to interact with fresh new eyes with innovative approaches. And thank you to the city attorney, especially for turning this ordinance around. And I'd just like to take a moment to honor the life of the late Eddie Gale. He was a game changer when he came to San Jose, and the arts community stands on his shoulders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roma. All right, back to the council. Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. Tony, I heard from the previous District 7 Commissioner, Ron, and so I wanted to reach out to you. He did contact my office to say that he considered his term done, and he was enthusiastic about having new commissioners come on board. So have you connected with him?
No, I have not.
Okay.
But if
All right.
somebody doesn't want to extend their term, they can always resign from it.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But I will reach out to him.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Carrasco.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. And I apologize for the cough. I have allergies and I can't find my allergy pill. So I just want to be very clear on my cough. So I wanted to understand, I want to thank all of the commissioners on all of our commissions for all of the work that they do. I know that they put in a lot of work, and they do it because they're very committed to our city, and I'm very grateful because they rarely get any thanks, and they put in a lot of work, and they're very committed to the kind of work and projects that they're involved in. But I wanted to ask, I want to, I guess, understand from the makers of the motion and the memo, the purpose of extending the term, and I have some concerns in terms of extending the terms and setting up a precedence. We have new commissioners who are ready to serve, and it would be very similar to keeping on keeping our seats when new council members come on board and saying, I want to mentor the new council members because I have a wealth of experience, so I'm going to hang out a little bit longer, and I want to make sure that I guide and mentor the new council member that's coming into District 5, or council member Camus wants to mentor the new council member that's coming into District 10. And we appreciate everybody's experience, but our new commissioners have been appointed, and they were confirmed a few weeks ago. And I'm not exactly sure I understand why we're extending the term and setting up a precedence that I think can take us down a rabbit hole as we look at the makeup of the different commissions, and the scope of the different commissions. I can see how this could take us down a rabbit hole with the Planning Commission, the Neighborhoods Commission. I mean, it can go on and on and on. And I would hate to do that. I would also hate to undermine the new commissioners, and then have overrepresentation in some districts versus other districts. I don't think that is a very just representation for the city of San Jose. So if you could help and enlighten me, because as it stands, I currently cannot support the current motion on the table, given the current the current issues that I've just laid out.
Mayor, this is Councilmember Jimenez. Just as a maker of the motion, I
Sure.
read the documents and they seem to make sense to me. I think they stem from, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think there might have been a memo from Councilmember Davis or Camus. So I'd certainly open it up for them to share their perspective. But what I read and as it relates to the items that were provided to us seem to make sense to me. But I'd certainly allow them to please share the reasoning behind all this.
Yeah, perhaps Councilmember Davis, would you like to jump in?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Jimenez, for those that comment. Yeah, the intent was not to undermine the new members at all. Other commissions did have their terms extended, including the Neighborhood Commission, under these extraordinary circumstances, very much related to COVID and the fact that commissions did not meet for many months in the spring of this year. And as you know, I know you're the liaison, Councilmember Carrasco, to the Arts Commission. As you know, the Arts Commission actually has a budget and funds that they disperse, and that's certainly a learning process. At least for me, I know not every council member has the benefit of this, and I hope the District 10 council member will have this benefit. But for me, when I took office, the outgoing council member did mentor me, and I was better for it, and I was able to get up and running more quickly. And so when the arts commissioners came to me and explained that they not only were willing to do that, but that they very much wanted to do that and to have a real turnover. I thought that was a very good idea, and it's definitely not to undermine the new members, and it is term limited. It's only for a few months to the end of December, which is also the same time that the other commissions' terms were extended, I believe. So that was the purpose. The Arts Commission had was just not treated in the same way as the other commissions were, and that was the intent here.
Councilmember Carrasco, I'm sorry, Councilor Camus, you look like you wanted to jump in.
If I can, and quite frankly, due to some clerical issues as well, we were supposed to vote on extending their term before we appointed the other terms, and that's the only reason we're having to jump through this hoop now, and that's the only thing I'd like to add.
Okay. Councilmember Carrasco?
Yeah, if I could just, so again, I'm still unable to support the the current motion as it stands. You know, some districts will have overrepresentation, whereas others will not have. You know, some will have double representation, others won't. And again, I think that we need to give an opportunity for those new commissioners to come in and start their work. They're excited. That's what they applied for. We went ahead and appointed them. And they're just as excited as every other commissioner. And I'm glad that council member, you had an opportunity to have a relationship with your council member, but that's not typical. It's not typical that we have a relationship with the outgoing council member and they hand over any paperwork or they mentor us or what have you. In fact, I came into a council that every single, you know, paperwork was destroyed and database was, you know, deleted. And so, you know, again, you know, council members don't tend to hang out and hand the baton over. They just vacate, and we come in and we run our business in our district as we see fit. And so I think that's the responsibility of the commissioner. So I can't support the commission as it stands, and I'm not going to be able to support the current motion.
Councilor Camus, you still have your hand up. Did you want to speak further?
No, I'm good, but I am mentoring my replacement for the record.
Okay, yeah. Councilmember Arenas? Councilor Arenas, you're still on mute.
Darn it. So I just want to understand this a little bit more clearly, because I'm not sure the issue that we're trying to address or the problem that we're trying to resolve by extending the term. And even though I heard the answer that was given to Councilmember Carrasco, I still don't understand, or maybe it just doesn't make sense to me to have double representation. I'm not one of those districts that's going to be impacted and is going to have two commissioners. I mean, you know, more is sometimes better, right? But when somebody is settling into a position, I don't know if one vote is going to steer the other, or they're going to get they should maybe get a consolidated vote. I would encourage this mentorship relationship to take form outside of a commission. I think it's wonderful when people mentor others. I've been mentored myself, and I've relied on that type of relationship. But certainly not as a council member. The council member who exited the office, I didn't also have a wonderful experience, but it doesn't, you know. Everybody has a different kind of experience. I'm really happy that you got to experience something different, Councilmember Davis. I just see this as an issue that I don't know what we're trying to resolve, and whether this was a clerical issue or not. We don't have a problem with underrepresentation. We have a problem here with overrepresentation. And I believe that the new commissioners just need to settle into their roles and build their relationship with those commissioners who are outgoing and receive their mentorship that way. And so I also won't be supporting the motion on the floor. It doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not sure why we are extending the commission term another 6 months. It just doesn't make sense.
Commissioner Esparza, I'm sorry, Councilmember Esparza.
Thanks, Mayor. So just a few questions. So one, Tony, could you recap all the commissions that had extensions, please?
I have to actually look that up. It was, I know Neighborhoods Commission is one of them. I think that's the parking board. I'd have to look at it though. Neighborhoods Commission was extended because we couldn't do a caucus, so we couldn't do appointment for them. And then I have to look. Hold on.
Okay.
Answer any other questions while I'm looking at that if you need me to.
Okay, and then, so I had a follow-up question, which is, so the commissioners that have their terms extended, will they have a vote? So for example, on the Arts Commission, they do have, you know, some responsibilities about resources in the city. Will their votes carry on, or will they just stay on and be able to participate in the process?
My understanding, I haven't looked at the ordinance, is that they would be voting members. Our original suggestion was that they could attend as members of the public, and they would be able to give feedback but not vote. But this will bring it back where they would be voting members. And the ones that had extensions was the Early Child Care seats for Library Education Commission, 1 seat for Historic Landmarks Commission, the entire Neighborhoods Commission, for the caucus reason that I told you, and that is it.
And what other commissions, and how many total do we have?
I think it's 33.
So we had,
quote me on that.
Okay. So we had 3 out of 33-ish that have had extensions already, and this would be the 4th out of 33.
Yes.
Okay. And so so I know that there was some passion, and there is some passion of the commissioners because they, you know, COVID took a lot from all of us in our community. That's just a cough. It's not allergies or COVID. And so is there a way then, would the maker of the motion be willing to allow the commissioners to really sit and participate in the discussions and review the materials, you know, but without the vote? Because I'm also concerned about split votes and things like that. Would the maker of the motion be willing to go back to that original idea of extending the terms so that the current commissioners could participate and offer their experience in that way?
You know, normally when we're actually meeting in person, we have some of the folks that were public speakers sitting in the audience. Can I ask one of them a question, if you don't mind, before I answer? If that's okay? I think
Fine with me, yeah.
Who would you like to ask, Councilmember?
Is Roma still floating around?
Roma Dawson, she is. I see her online. Roma, could you jump on?
It's a little odd, huh? We're doing this a little unique. I just be curious if Roma, I was hoping, Roma, if you could just elaborate a little bit as to why you think this is important, maybe loose ends that you think that need to be wrapped up, and as it relates to you voting and things of that nature.
This is the
yes,
Zoom version of Lifeline.
Yeah.
okay, can
fresh.
you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Yes, two very specific reasons. Number one, the Arts Commission is the only commission that has a dedicated budget where we actually advise City Council on how to spend money. And of course, we lost 4 months and we did not have a budget opportunity. So I thought it would be appropriate for us to sit at the table and vote on how we would address the short-term effects of COVID. And also, I frankly felt it was a civic duty to bring our institutional memory to bear during a time of great crisis. So again, I certainly have a great respect for everyone on council and understand. And I did try to reach out to Councilmember Murrieta several times, so I did not know he didn't want to stay on. However, I would point out that Commissioner Albert Lee does wish to continue and stay on, and he recognizes the value of institutional memory. So thank you for asking.
And so, Councilmember Esparza, you're just saying, what if we let them stay on as indicated, in the motion, yet they don't vote? Is that what you're?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I have a commissioner who is also terming out, and I have a commissioner that's terming on. So I feel kind of caught in the middle of this, although the District 7 commissioner felt that his term was completed, and he was fine with that. He felt it was appropriate for the new commissioner to be able, who is actually very experienced, to be able to take on her term as a commissioner. So he was fine with that, but I've had someone coming off and someone coming on. And so, I feel that, I sense a lot of passion there, and it's great, but we have institutional memory on the commission from the other commissioners, right? I mean, that's how the system is set up, just like not all the council seats are up every year or every 2 years. We don't, all 11 of us run for re-election, so that there's a balance. You always have some experienced council members on. I feel like this is a confessional for all of us to confess and talk about how we came on board. I'll spare everybody that, but there's staggered terms, and so that institutional memory is there in that sense. But I sense a passion, and I would love to give the current commissioners a chance to participate in the process, but also be mindful that there are new commissioners that have a voice, that bring their experiences, that bring their vision, that should be respected as well. And so I feel like this is a way to accommodate both of those goals.
Yeah, so I think it's a decent compromise, right, to allow them to stay on and get that extension and maybe not be voting members. I'm fine with that, but I'm cool with the amendment. But let me just say, I also don't necessarily see any detrimental impact of them staying on and voting. I mean, I really don't know what's going to come before them or what they're going to be considering, but I think that's a fair compromise, and so I'm willing to take that amendment.
Thank you.
Seconder or not seconder?
The seconder is Councilmember Davis. Is that right?
Yes, that's okay.
Can you repeat your motion, your amendment?
It's to allow. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Councilmember Jimenez. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. To allow the current commissioners to be able to stay on through December 31st and participate, but not have a vote, so that they can participate, bring their experience to it, but the new commissioners would have the votes moving forward. I think it fulfills the spirit of what everybody's trying to do.
Okay. So clarification has been given. Councilmember Kraska, you still have your hand up. Is that from before?
No, if I could, so, this is okay. So I'm a little bit more comfortable as we're moving a little bit more towards, I'm a little bit more comfortable giving an opportunity for the new commissioners that we just appointed, an opportunity to be able to participate fully without being undermined. And by doing so, allowing our outgoing commissioners to be present, to share their experience, but not vote. And in that way, not have over-representation from other districts. But Tony, if you're there, I wanted to ask you, so three commissions were granted extensions. The Neighborhoods Commission, the reason why they were granted extensions was because you were unable to
They're appointed by caucus.
and you weren't able to have a caucus, so you weren't able to have appointments.
Right.
Okay, so that's a whole entirely different reason. The childcare was granted an extension for what reason? For the same reason that we're looking at right now?
The early education seats are appointed by the CAC. The CAC did not have a quorum to be able to meet to make those nominations.
So again, a very different reason than what we're looking at here. So they don't have over-representation. They simply did not have the mechanism to make that appointment. So the default was an extension.
Correct.
And the Historic Society Commission?
The Historic Landmarks Commission, that final seat, we didn't get a nomination in time.
So again, the default was to extend.
Correct.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, because I think that we're talking about those extensions were made for entirely different reasons, because we were unable to fill those positions or were unable to appoint new commissioners, which is not the case here. So when we talk about having done that for other commissions, council colleagues, I want to be very clear that the reason why we were extending those are not the same reasons as to why we're considering the extension of this commission. And so the reason why we're extending or considering the extension of this commission causes an over-representation in some districts, which is very different from the other commissions. And again, I'm still trying to understand and whether I'm going to be able to support the motion that's on the floor. And I'm wondering if Carrie Adams Hapner, who is the staff, our staff, our staffer to the commission, is available. I think she was on Zoom. And is there any way of knowing that?
Yeah, I just promoted her to panelist.
Oh, I don't know how you do that, but anyway.
I'm very fast.
Okay, where is she? Oh, there she is. I see her name. And Carrie, if you could help us out, because you go, there you are. If you could help us out a little bit in deciphering a little bit more of the technicalities on the roles of the commissioners. We're talking about a lot of money that goes through this commission, grant money that's allocated to our grantees. And so, of course, we know that that's an important role. So how much authority does the commission and the commissioners themselves have in terms of the budget that's being discussed?
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and Council and City Manager, and Nora and City Attorney. So Carrie Adams Hapner, Director of Cultural Affairs. So the Arts Commission is a City Council advisory body. So they provide advice on all matters pertaining to the arts to the full council. So they do not have independent budget authority. So that budget authority lies with the council unless there is a grant or a contract that's being recommended that falls within the city manager's authority.
And so, well, thank you for that. And so, as we have individuals who have had this experience terming out, and I'm very grateful for all the work that they're doing. Of course, I'm sure that you've been hearing the discussion take place over the last
couple of weeks, probably a couple of months, and now the conversation that's taking place, some of the concern that we have is, well, now the motion is that there'll be non-voting, but over-representation. But is there a lot of mentoring that takes place as one new commissioner comes in and a commissioner is being termed out? Has that happened in the past?
Actually, it has happened in the past. So, but under slightly different circumstances. It's informal, but when we have an effective chair, often the chair will encourage some of the more experienced commissioners to mentor the incoming commissioners, just to kind of give them somebody to speak to, somebody that they can provide advice or guidance around. Because, like, as you all know, we work within city government and often things happen on an annual cycle. So we do try to encourage mentorship amongst commissioners.
Thank you for that. And so, I'm trying to understand if having this overlap is going to be beneficial, or if it will create, this 15-member commission that we haven't had before, from my understanding. If it's going to be, if it's going to create the kind of not conflict, but solve a problem that we don't think we have, as Councilmember Arenas pointed out.
Thank you, Council Member. So I will say, we worked, our office was working with the City Attorney's Office as well as with the City Clerk in response to ensuring that the new recommendations were being made for new commissioners so that they could be appointed in a timely manner. But I will also say that, our recommendation from the Office of Cultural Affairs is that we allow, we would have 11 commissioners, which is our normal tradition per city ordinance. But in addition to that, we would welcome back, the termed out commissioners to participate as members of the public. And so that would effectively be the same thing that is the amended motion right now, that you would have 11 seats and that anybody could participate in a meeting on any item as a member of the public. So that would be our recommendation. And I worked with the clerk's office and the city attorney's office to really understand kind of how, what is the ordinance and, what is the representation, and that we would not want to have a disrepresentation amongst certain council districts.
And how many commissioners are coming back that are experienced?
We currently have 11 commissioners, of which 7 are existing commissioners. So there'll be 7 experienced commissioners.
7 experienced commissioners, 4 new commissioners. So in essence, those 7 commissioners could also be mentoring the 4 new commissioners.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Camus.
Yeah, Mayor. So I'm really sorry that this has to get to this. For me, it's about a fairness issue. There is precedent, both in the past and in the current commission status, and it doesn't really matter what the different circumstances are. There's been numerous circumstances where commissioners were extended in their term, and this is no different. The reason why we're extending their term is because of COVID and no other reason. These commissioners, should be instated as full voting members, and not only that, it was our fault. It was not their fault that we did the order on the agenda incorrectly. And the fact of the matter is, we were supposed to vote on their extension before we voted on the new commissioners to be implemented. So not only do they get hit with the COVID issue, then they get hit with our, not doing our job correctly on the calendar, and so on the agenda. And so I think it's really unfair. I don't even know if these commissioners will serve as non-voting commissioners to begin with. And as far as overrepresentation, quite frankly, these are commissions. The final decisions are coming to us, they're not going to a foreign body, and they're not making, the final decisions will be made by us and city council. And I'm not going to be supporting the motion, even though I wrote the memo, because they're not going to be voting members. Maybe I can ask Ramona or anybody else that is getting their commission, Roma, or the two that are on the line. Are you willing to serve as a silent commissioner? I mean, I don't see the difference between just attending a Zoom meeting and serving as a silent commissioner. Is Ramona Roma?
Both Roma Dawson and Ramona Snyder are here. So Ramona's raised her hand.
Okay. So.
Oh, and now Roma's raised her hand too. Ramona first.
Hi. Yeah, I mean, the whole point of this was that we didn't get the last few months of our term. And we started this process way before any new appointments were made to the Arts Commission. I mean, we had a memo from the mayor, we went to rules, and then it was going to council. And up until like just a few days before that meeting, there was still nobody appointed to our seats. Even at the rules meeting on June 19th, Tony Tabor said that they did not have anybody slotted yet, and they would probably not have anybody slotted to at least August and have all their paperwork in and whatnot. So our memo should have been voted on, and new appointments suddenly appeared on the June 30th agenda, and we were pulled off the original memo for extension, which I don't even think is legal, that you can pull names off a memo that was put out to the public. So I'm a little irritated about that. And the fact that 2.21, which was the appointments on consent, was not pulled before the vote was made. This is an injustice. It's wrong. I'm sorry. It's absolutely wrong.
Okay. Roma, you have your hand up as well, Roma Dawson.
Can you hear me now, Mayor?
Yes. Yes.
Well, first of all, my apologies that this is taking so much valuable time from the council. I am reminded of the saying that no good deed goes unpunished. Originally, when we started out, I was actually approached by a couple of commissioners to stay on the commission because there were a number of commissioners that were not experienced, that had not been able to go through very many budget cycles, and that they wanted some help. I am very happy to do whatever this council decides to do, and it's just unfortunate that this had to unfold very publicly in this kind of process. So again, my apologies to council, and I will abide by whatever this council thinks is the wisest thing to do. Thank you.
All right, Councilor Camus.
Yeah, no, I just won't be supporting the motion. I think that, in all fairness, this is really only until December, and this is maybe 4 months or less as far as meetings are concerned. And I don't see any harm in I think we just need to right the wrong here, and that's the whole point. I just want to be fair, and this does not seem like a fair process at all, and I hope that we can I hope Sergio reverses that and gives them the full authority. We botched things up, and that's where we are.
Councilmember Foley.
Thank you. I really didn't expect this to be such a controversial issue. I think it's really quite impressive, actually, that we have 3-4 people who want to continue on in their commitment in the Arts Commission. Councilmember Esparza gave a wonderful invocation earlier today about the importance of art and how art is keeping us together and challenging us and inspiring us. And we need to make sure that we still have that inspiration throughout the city as it relates to the arts. The arts community is suffering dramatically under COVID, and there's nothing normal about maybe this commission appointment, this extended commission appointment. There's nothing normal about COVID. So the rules are all kind of changing, and we're sort of moving and modifying as we move along. this is one of those regulations that I saw, or this modification that I see as correcting a wrong, because I know that it came to us early, that we were supposed to approve it as an extension in June, but we didn't for whatever reason. It's no, in the terms of basketball, it's no harm, no foul. I really don't see the overrepresentation, although two of the commissioners will be from District 9, but I can point to many places, such as the Planning Commission, where we haven't had District 9 representation for years. So and then I look at the length of term that we're talking about. We're appointing them, if it passes today, we're appointing them in October or August, sorry. Carrie, do they have a meeting in August?
Yes, Councilmember Foley, there will be a meeting in August. The meeting is scheduled for August 17th.
And do they meet in December?
Traditionally, we have not met in December just because of the holiday season. What the holiday season will look like this year, we don't know. So, I mean, that's to be determined based on our work plan and any items we might need to move forward.
Sure, and I can't begin to think what holidays are going to look like right now. It's just it's too frightening to even think about where we are today with school starting tomorrow. But so if you boil it down, it's only 4 months. If they, excluding December, that they would have involvement and interaction on the Arts Commission. I think the more the merrier on this particular commission, because the arts have taken a beating and are not going to thrive in a long, long time. It's very hard to do performing arts on a video screen. It's very hard you can't go to theaters, you can't go to shows. Many of them are struggling. So I'm going to support this. I had hoped that they would have the vote, but because we really only need a vote of 11, I can appreciate the concerns about having 2 votes from one particular district. And so I will support the motion as it stands and hope that my council colleagues will too, and allow these people to do what they are passionate about, and that is support and advocate for arts in the city of San Jose. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a clarification. Councilmember Jimenez, the way that I understood the amendment when I accepted it was not that they would be members of the public, but that they would be, in effect, ex officio members of the board, so that they would be able to fully participate in the discussion. They wouldn't be limited like the public is to 2 minutes for their comments. And so the way that I was thinking about that was that was a good compromise to address Councilmember Esparza and Carrasco's concerns, and that would still allow the members, it sounds like 3 out of the 4, to still provide their institutional knowledge and their passion for the arts as members of the board, just not voting members of the board. Is that the way you understood that amendment, Councilmember Jimenez?
That is the way I understood it, yes.
Great,
And that was
thank
my
you.
intent. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Councilmember Esparza. I appreciate that, thank you. I think I too would have preferred that they would have been able to have a vote, but I'm sensitive to the fact that this is it was a concern of my colleagues that there would be a dilution of votes as a result of this temporary measure. So that's why I accepted the amendment as the seconder, and that's why I'll be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Councilmember Esparza?
Yeah, I just wanted to, thank everybody, or most of us, for supporting a compromise where we do have a few folks who are very passionate about being able to bring their experiences and see some projects through, is what I'm kind of hearing between the lines, which is, we all kind of have that, but still respect the new commissioners coming in. Roma, I really appreciate, because you have contacted myself and I'm sure other council members a few months ago. And I appreciate the spirit in which you conveyed your concerns. I just want to, there were some other comments made. I just wanted to clarify, you know, we as a city need to respect every nominee, everyone that gets appointed, or every appointee that gets appointed to that commission. They bring their experiences and their perspectives to that commission, whether they have served on another commission or not. I am very fortunate in that the folks representing District 7 are very experienced themselves. And so I look forward to the work of the commission and seeing these projects through and in future post-COVID years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Perales.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually was just hoping for some clarification on the motion, which it sounds like Councilmember Davis provided on the sort of the ex officio status of the outgoing members. And so just to clarify that, that is the intent for the maker of the motion and the seconder, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm comfortable with this direction. I appreciate the you know, the interest obviously of everybody that is has applied or has served. And
Okay. I was prepared to support.
I was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I think
My
you
outgoing.
cut out there. Yeah, you cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I will be supporting this. Sorry, I think I'm having some internet issues. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I was prepared to support either of these motions, and I apologize to whatever extent. Back in June, I myself didn't keep my eye on this ball, and this mix-up was created at a time, I think, when we were all absorbed in budget and COVID and a whole lot of other challenges. So in any event, I regret that this has become acrimonious, I think, quite unnecessarily. It seems to me we have arts commissioners who legitimately want to serve, genuinely even committed to the community, have done a great job, and really been deprived of the ability to serve their full terms by circumstances beyond everyone's control. So it seemed to me I would have been happy to support either of these motions. I simply think we should move forward. All right, Tony, let's vote. Yes.
Mayor, this is Nora. I'm sorry to interrupt you now, but I just wanted to make sure that this clarification is made in this motion and on this vote. Council Policy 0-4 doesn't allow non-voting members on commissions, but an ordinance can override that policy. So you need to just be clear in this motion that in fact that's the intent, and that the ordinance, the draft ordinance will be changed to make sure that that's clear.
Thanks for the clarification, Nora. And the maker of the motion and the seconder, is that acceptable? I see Councilmember Davis nodding.
I'm the seconder. I'm not the maker of the motion. So
yeah, the maker of the motion, I believe, is Councilmember Jimenez.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I was. I'm at home like everyone else.
Nora explained, council policy currently does not allow non-voting members to sit on commissions, but we'd be passing an ordinance which would override that council policy, and we want to clarify that that is in fact the intent of the makers of the motion.
I'm okay with that. I don't think that was the intent going into it, but yeah, I'm okay with that. That's fine.
And I guess I'm okay with it as well, but as long as it is specific to this temporary extension for ex officio members of the Arts Commission, which is time limited, as we
that's fine.
Stated in the memo.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Thank you. And on the motion, Tony?
Menez,
Yes.
Perales,
Aye.
Dip,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.1 is a report on the bids and award of contract for the Center Road Vision Zero Safety Improvements Project focused on center between Keys and Singleton Road. There is no presentation. We'll see if there are any members of the public who would like to speak on this item, item 5.1, regarding the Vision Zero improvements on Center Road. Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank
Blair?
you. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. The Center Road Traffic Calming Project has been in the making in the days before COVID-19. As always, I hope you'll be considering what could be good open public policies and continuing accountability for technology surveillance and data collection that will be part of this large traffic and pedestrian improvement project. However, it is my feeling that Measure T public oversight with technology may be confused and lacking at this point, and that is part of the funding of this project. I hope all the recent talk and finally developing an election ballot measure to allow a full IPA review process for police use of force and other policing issues can be a reminder of previous good community ideas over the past several years of Public Oversight Committee for San Jose that can review community policing and technology, surveillance, and data collection questions. For San Jose to define surveillance to define a surveillance and technology ordinance at this time can begin to more clearly address the individual in terms of civil rights, civil protections, more open democratic practices, and the ideas of positive sustainability. These are the ideas that can walk hand in hand with the needs of Vision Zero surveillance technology collection practices for community safety. And to conclude, I hope we can all consider these ideas as what can be for tomorrow's people. Thank you.
Thank you. Tessa Woodmansee.
Thank you, Tessa Woodmansee. On Vision Zero, I was interested. I tried to search the memorandum on that. It didn't come up. Maybe it's the iPad or what, but might be part of the problem. Things don't link well. But basically, you know, it was a $2 million project, it looked like. And so what we really need to do with our Vision Zero is all engineering solutions. So I'm very happy to hear that you're spending a lot of money to hopefully improve Center Road, which is quite a highway of a road. It's just very car friendly and terrible in that way. So if you can make it more user friendly and walkability and bicycle friendly, that'd be great. And this is what we need to do. And we see if this project is 2 million, how the way we allotted the Vision Zero was very questionable. You know, when you have a police officer on our council advocating it's for enforcement, and you could say, oh, there's a lot of the council approve that because we're all dealing with policing as being a way that we're going to solve things. And what Black Lives Matter and the whole police review, which we put on deferment, the police are not the solution. We don't need policing. We need engineered solutions. Just like with homelessness, we need people who care about each other. That's what we need, not policing. And so, same thing with, Vision Zero. We need engineering solutions. That's the way we create Vision Zero. And we do need to spend the money, not on, 12 policemen who mostly sit in our, lot around the corner all night. There's no accountability for the police, as we see. And we, like I say, it has to be engineered. And so you can see it's going to take a lot of money. And we need to be allotting all of Vision Zero towards basically engineered solutions that for traffic calming and issues like that, more walkability and bikeability. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, returning to council then. Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm very excited to have this project moving forward and want to thank John and Matt and all of the DOT and Public Works staff that have been working on this. So the grim reality is that District 7, along with District 3 and District 6, have the highest numbers of pedestrians killed or severely injured on our city streets. Which is a horrible statistics. And District 7 has 5 of the city's priority safety corridors, including Center Road. So this project will give our residents, especially our students and seniors, a safer experience, whether they're walking, biking, or driving. So I'm very excited about it. I'm also happy and would like to point out that this contract will be going to a local company and a company also in District 7. So with that, I'd like to move to award this contract.
Second.
Motion second. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. And I also agree with Councilmember Esparza that this is a great project, and I'm happy that it's something that's going into our district. I do have a couple of questions from the contractor, Granite Rock. If there's a representative.
Yes, this is Matt Cana, Director of Public Works. Denise Henning from Granite Rock is on the line here. And so I think, Denise, if you could unmute, she is logged on as a panelist.
Okay, hi, I'm here. I'm Denise.
Yes, Denise. My first question is, since there's federal dollars involved with this contract, and so there's a DBE goal of 12%. And your company has committed to 7.3% DBE participation. And I just would like for you to walk me through your good faith outreach effort, first of all.
Okay, we did a intense good faith effort on this. We actually, just so you know, when this job bid between April and May, we bid more work than we have since I can ever remember. And a lot of that work, probably 75–80% of it had DBE goals on it. So we did reach out to get the support of an outside company called Eldridge Bid Reporter, who is also a small business and a disabled veteran company. And they assist us when we're overwhelmed with the good faith efforts that we have to do. And they did a great job reaching out to DBEs. When we bid this particular job, we did not receive the DBE subcontractor quotes that we were hoping on getting to achieve the 12% goal. And we did, as we used every little bit of DBE that came in on this bid towards this job, and it added up to 7.3%. At the time, I talked to our chief estimator and the senior estimator on the project about why we didn't do better on the goal. And the answer was basically, we didn't get the quotes.
Okay. Did they have any insights in terms of why you didn't get the quotes? Was it because of a lack of qualified DBEs or the communication strategy? Was there any insight in terms of why there was a deficit or a gap?
Our outreach was one of the better ones, and I can only give you our opinion on that. And I gave it to Matt earlier today, in that there was so much work out there bidding that I think that they have to be careful not to overextend themselves. I mean, we can bid on all this work, but the fact remains that we have to build it too. And there are so many jobs out there to bid that I just don't think we got the quotes on it. We actually did put all items of work out there for the DBEs to bid on, and we just did not get the quotes.
Well, thank you for that response. You addressed my concerns. We're gonna constantly look at that number and always challenge contractors in terms of why they weren't able to meet that number. So I appreciate you providing me with that explanation.
Certainly.
And I will support the project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Esparza, is your hand raised from before? Or did you want to speak again?
No, I'll,
Okay.
yeah, no.
Okay, great. Great, let's vote. Tony?
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perales, Perales. I'll come back. Dieppe,
Aye.
Aye.
got you.
Yeah.
Crosco, Crosco.
Aye.
Thank you. Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to the final item, which is 8.1, actions related to the 2025 Consolidated Plan and Fiscal Year 2021 Annual Action Plan. I believe, since we've heard this last week, I don't believe there is another presentation. We'll go first to the public, see if anyone would like to speak on the item 8.1, actions related to the Consolidated Plan Fiscal Year 2021 Annual Action Plan. Tessa Woodmansee. Ms. Woodmansee?
Oh, you did so good. Thank you, Mayor Ricardo, for asking twice at least. Thank you. Okay, Tessa Woodmansee, and we're talking about our fiscal year 2020 to 2021. Well, this is, yeah, well, I have been unhappy with the values of what you've been supporting. The one thing I mentioned was the $10 million towards getting people to fly. And, you know, that is really, like I say, along the lines of evil, immoral, selfish, and greedy. And that's why we have been saying we have to get the scientists to run help us with our decision making. We have to look through those thick glasses that they wear, nearsighted or farsighted, and put ourselves behind those so we can start looking at our fossil fuel use, which is so critical. And every one of our decisions, you know, and even I've been dealing with our general plan, our Envision 2040, and how it's all about jobs. And that is really why we are in the housing crisis we are in, is that you have been focusing since 2008 on jobs and making money for yourselves. And it's all about this value of saying that the residents don't support the city. And therefore we need to kowtow to businesses and get the money from businesses, which I consider a deal with the devil, to say that we are running our city on businesses and that, you know, on the money we get from businesses. I'm saying is that we need to reduce our overhead, really look at all the expenses, the flying, the driving, the parties, this. I mean, you know, if you can't afford to live on what our residents provide, and that you have to sell our financialize our lands, that has to make money for you. We have to really look at that. And there's really a problem with that. And that is the whole, like I said, we have to look through the glasses, those myopic glasses of fossil fuel use in all of our decisions.
All right, returning to the council. We're actually considering the actions related to the 2025 Consolidated Plan, use of federal funds, primarily for affordable housing and homelessness. Are there questions from the council? Councilmember Arenas?
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to move my memo. I submitted it quite late, so I'm just going to take you through it and explain a bit about why it is that I submitted this memo. And as many of you know, I was a school board member, some of you were as well. And during that time, I saw a huge exodus of our children from our school district, so much to the point that just this year, my son's school, along with another school, was closed this year in Evergreen School District. And it was a very, you know, just middle-class neighborhood off of St. Teresa and Yerba Buena Avenue. And so we know that families, when times are tough, they just, even though they've helped develop and grow San Jose, they just have to find another place that is much more affordable. And so for me, it's really important that that kind of exodus, we're not going to prevent it, but certainly I would love to make sure that we stabilize our families and eyes wide open. I know that we have great partners in the housing department in this, and actually I want to thank the housing department for incorporating a lot of the community feedback, our feedback. I'm sure it wasn't an easy feat to get all of that done while there's a pandemic in place and we're all sheltering. And so I know that was difficult work, and I really want to thank you for that. And so that's the spirit of my memo, and that's the reason why I wanted it to move it forward. As you will know, that if we don't measure something, you can't really improve it, and we can't grow it. And so this is just in the spirit of making sure that we are more data driven, we're strategic, and we're culturally responsive. Sorry, I'm smiling because I'm seeing just the reason why we work so hard. And that's Reagan's little one, who is always a gift at the end of a long council meeting. So thank you. And so I just want to move my memo. It includes to accept the staff report and recommendations. It also asks to direct the city manager to provide in their future annual action plan and sub-plan that demonstrates how these federal dollars directly serve families with children, to direct the city manager to include in their CAPER performance report, a family performance sub-plan report on how many families with children were able to access federally funded services. And lastly, to direct the city manager to seek recommendations and feedback from the Neighborhood Services Committee on the future use of any unprogrammed community development improvement funds. So that is my memo. And the reason I wanted to make sure that this was in place is that our housing department has taken stock. They are really innovative in the ways that they're providing services, and I wanted to make sure that we capture that good work that they're doing. And the only way that we can do that is by capturing the data. And so I move my memo and hope I can get a second.
Second.
Thank you. Just a quick question for Reagan or Jackie. We know we put a premium on the work you do, but an awful lot of your time is spent reporting. And so I just want to understand whether there will be significant burdens added in terms of reporting here or not from whatever is, from what's suggested primarily, I think, in paragraph 3, but I guess 2 and 3.
So we thank you, Mayor, for giving us the opportunity. I'm Jackie Morales-Friend. I'm the Director of Housing, and I saw this as an opportunity as we had framed families in our memo. And we had a subcategory that talked about how we're addressing the needs of families. We believe we can continue to carry that theme both in the council memo that we take that reports on our performance, and we've told you what programs are and are eligible for families. It is already reported, and so we'll just pull that data forward. And again, as long as we're just including it in our staff report as the sub plan that highlights the data, we are limited in our HUD plans on what we can submit. We're totally comfortable being very open and sunshining these investments.
Okay, great. Just want to confirm. Sounds like it doesn't make you do anything more than you're doing now. So that's wonderful. Okay. Anything further from the council? All right, then, on the motion, Tony?
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perales,
Yes.
Yep,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. All right, we're on to our open forum. Tessa Woodmansee.
Okay, great. This is Tessa Woodman C. Good, we made it to the end. All right, so public forum. I guess now I don't even know what I want to say. Okay, let's see. What is the biggest problem? Well, we know what my biggest problem is. I talked about it all session, but like my husband says, I know every time I open my mouth, you put your fingers in your ears, you don't want to hear me. And so this is where we've got a lot of problems. You know, how are we going to follow the science? And that's why Extinction Rebellion says that you cannot do the leadership because you are involved in politics and economics. That's what you're all about. We've been hearing it all last 6 or 7 hours. Every meeting is about it. And then even the meetings that are, other people are leading, everything is about it. And so that's why Greta Thunberg says, when you're in a crisis, all you talk about is your crisis. And that's what we're not doing because we're in 4 crises. We're in a climate crisis. We're in an ecological collapse. We are losing the birds and the insects. Okay, this is really serious. That's the foundation of the food chain. And then we are, then our third one, I call it 2 Ps, which is pandemic and pollution. And those are major public health destroyers. Pollution kills like 7 million people worldwide. And then, COVID, we know all about that. It's really bad. And one thing that they said to remind us about what brought us out of COVID, what brought New York out of COVID was a lot of regulation, a lot of strict rules from Governor Cuomo. And Governor Newsom has not done that. And that is why it's going wild in California. We need a lot of controls. They have cars stopping. Where are you going? What are you doing? I mean, that we don't have any of that. They're all coming from LA. And the last one is our housing crisis. And we need to focus on those 4 things.
Thank you. Blair Beekman.
Oh, I don't know if you offered public comment on your food distribution item today. I waited and no one, I raised my hand, but I was passed over. To try to bring that food distribution into this last open forum. To talk about issues of COVID, I feel the housing issues of Ash Kalra and how he's working with other assembly persons across the Bay Area. They're trying to define really good measures for, we're going to have emergency, we're on emergency status until April 2021 at this point. They want to do tenants' rights protections and tenant forgiveness, rent forgiveness a year after that. And I think that's a great idea. I mean, I feel try to be open to 10 years. How can things be open to 10 years? The idea is also there are many initiatives that really want to give full benefits to owners and their mortgage situations as well. So they will not have to be stressed in their small business and apartment rentals, home ownership. So, these efforts are to, help this COVID situation. And I just wish that owners would not feel so uptight and fearful as fearful as this situation is. I think people like Ash Kalra is offering a great remedy for the situation and to always be open for greater remedies. And I think that's vital to ourselves right now. And if we take care of housing, food, and health, that's a good combination that we can all trust and work towards and feel confident to work towards. Good luck on those efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. The person with the phone number ending on 5140, welcome.
Hey, I think you guys should focus on the economy like you're doing, and maybe start cutting benefits and other things like, these arts programs. Who's going to be able to appreciate the arts when you can't go outside? If you aren't wearing a mask, it's a $500 fine. Your buddies over at the county just passed that a couple hours ago. I hope, by the way, San Jose PD isn't enforcing that. If they try to enforce it on me, I'll be going to jail. It's the hill I'll die on, but that's another story. No, just keep focusing on the economy and trying to get people back to work. And so, you know, we can have tax dollars, but I mean, I heard hours and hours and hours of how you guys are concerned about diapers and formula and wipes to wipe shit off a kid's ass. I mean, you know, that's all I heard about.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.